What a wonderful day to learn something new and open up your imagination. 'Cause it's story time with your friends. Story time with Miss Diane. So sit back and relax, 'cause Story Garden is about to begin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Story Garden. It's an exciting day today because we have a visiting children's author. She is remarkable, and she's going to be reading a story to us today, and I'll keep it a secret and let her tell you which story it is. Eugenia Chu is from Florida, and she came to Dubai, and I had the opportunity of meeting her and watching her in action with children at a school. So if you're a mom and dad who happen to know some great teachers and or you are an educator, make sure you get Eugenia to come visit your school because she creates magic and you're about to see why. Well, with no further ado, let's bring Eugenia on with us. Okay, there you go. It always takes a second. Hello.
Hi, wow, that was some welcome. That was a great introduction. Thank you.
You're welcome. And welcome to the Story Garden. You're my very first author to interview. So thank you so much.
I'm honored. Thank you for having me.
So tell me, what and why did you start writing?
Okay, well, before this, I had a totally different career. I was a lawyer for 15 years, and then I had my son, became a stay-at-home mom, and then I didn't start writing until a couple years after he was born, and I was writing for him. Back then, we still read lots of books every night, and I still buy tons of books. So every night before bed, we'd read 2 or 3 stories, and then at lights out, we would talk about his day, what he did, things he liked, and we make little stories up at that time too. So like I said, I was always buying books, looking for books to read to him. That's bedtime story time. And, there was one type of book I could never find, and that was storybooks written in English with just a little bit of Chinese culture and a little bit of Chinese language to help reinforce his vocabulary and to show him, look what great Chinese books there are out there and how fun it is for you to learn Chinese. And so I just started writing my own because the only books I could find that had any Chinese in them were straight translations where there was English on one side and then Chinese on the other, or ABC 1, 2, 3 type instructional books. All these great books are great. I bought them all, but they weren't what I was looking for. So I just started writing my own for him. And I would write stories based on the things that we would talk about at night, things that he liked to do. And then we would start the story. He would help me. We'd kind of add on to it. And that's how I started writing. But at the time, I never, ever thought about publishing. We were just writing the stories for fun.
Well, I'm so glad you started. And then what made you go ahead and decide to publish?
Well, I sent some of the stories to my sisters who have kids around Brandon's age. And they loved the stories. I was surprised. I thought, oh, this is just something Brandon's gonna like. But they love the stories, and they would have their ask their mom to read it over again, read it again, read it again. And so I'm like, wow, that's great. And my sister was like, maybe you should think about publishing. And at the time, I was like, no one's gonna want to read these little Brandon books besides us. And she might have been joking as well. I don't know. But as time passed, and I still couldn't find these types of books, I started thinking more about it. And I was thinking, if I'm looking for these types of books, if my sisters are looking for these types of books for their kids, maybe there are other parents or even educators looking for these types of books. And I thought, maybe I could fill a niche. So I thought, okay, maybe I should do it. And then I had another thought that kind of pushed me towards publishing, and that was representation. Because there aren't really that many children's books out there where the protagonist or a main character is a Chinese American or really any Asian character. And so I thought, hey, this would be really good because I think it's really important for all kids to be able to see themselves in books. I think it helps bolster their self-esteem and helps them gain some affirmation about themselves and their culture. And then I was also thinking, all kids should be exposed to diverse and multicultural books where the characters are different from themselves. That way they can see through the eyes of other kids and be like, hey, you know what? This kid, different culture, different race, maybe has a handicap, doesn't look anything like me, but they're kind of just like me. Hey, this kid likes to play and have fun with his friends. This kid likes to eat yummy food. So they can see that kids are really, they're all the same. People are really all the same. And be able to see that and feel closer and not feel scared or intimidated when they see somebody who doesn't look like them. And I know this is a common thing that runs through your books about how we're more similar than we are different.
Right. Exactly. And I just love your books for that, because being a former classroom teacher, it was so important to me that kids love one another and learn to accept people for who they are. And what you're bringing absolutely does fill a niche. And I'm so excited and honored to have met you and to call you my friend now. And I have this one book of yours. I'm so excited. Can you tell me the name of the book?
Brandon Goes to Beijing. That one. Yes.
Brandon Goes to Beijing. And today, boys and girls, she's going to be reading, though, another story. So why don't you tell us about that? And I'm going to go off camera and let you get started. Okay?
Great. Thanks. Okay, so the book I'm going to read to you today is my very first book. It's a picture book called Brandon Makes Jiǎo Zi, which I wrote about one of my son's favorite things to do. Well, first, it was illustrated by my sister, Helena Chu Ho. So jiǎo zi are Chinese dumplings. And whenever my parents come to visit, Brandon always makes jiǎo zi or Chinese dumplings with my mom, who calls po po. And it's become a tradition, so something very special. So it made sense to me to make this my first book. Are you ready to hear a story? Okay, Brandon Makes Jiǎo Zi. Okay, it starts with a preface, which is basically a pronunciation guide. So there will be a little bit of Chinese in the story, and this pronunciation guide will help you pronounce the words. There's also a video of this on my website at eugeniachu.com. So that'll walk through this preface and help you with some of the pronunciations. So this is Brandon. Whoops, which side is it? I'm trying to put it in the picture there. Okay, so this is Brandon. Brandon is a smart but silly boy. Brandon loves jiǎo zi, which are, do you remember? That's right, Chinese dumplings. So Brandon loves Chinese dumplings. Brandon loves to make Chinese dumplings, jiǎo zi, and he really loves to eat them. So one day after school, Mommy had a surprise for him in the car. It was Po Po, Brandon's grandma, visiting from China. Who's Po Po? Do you remember? Grandma, that's right. So Brandon was so excited to see her. He couldn't stop laughing and talking the whole ride home from school. When Brandon got home and went to the kitchen for a snack, he saw flour and dough on a huge cutting board next to a big bowl on the table. Brandon started jumping up and down. He looked at Po Po. Who's Po Po? That's right, Grandma. He looked at Po Po and silently asked, Po Po, are we going to make jiǎo zi? You remember what jiǎo zi are? Chinese dumplings, good job. And Po Po responded, 对了, which means that's right in Chinese. Brandon started to do his happy dance. Then Brandon ran to the bathroom to wash his hands while Po Po started rolling out the dough to prepare the jiǎo zi wraps. Once Brandon's hands were nice and clean, he sat down next to Po Po, looked around and decided, we need more flour. And before Po Po could stop him, Brandon grabbed the nearby flour bag to sprinkle flour on the table. But instead of a light sprinkling of flour, a mountain of flour came crashing down. It got everywhere, including all over Brandon. It was even in his hair. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have ever helped make cookies or pizza or anything with dough and flour. But if you have, maybe you know what this is like. You get flour all over the place. Now, I wonder, obviously here, Brandon made a mess, flour everywhere. Do you think Po Po got mad, or do you think she thought it was funny? Well, let's find out. Po Po couldn't help but laugh. She thought it was funny. So if you guessed that, you guys got it right. And she says, 哎呀，你好像小鬼. You look like a little ghost. Brandon started to smile and suddenly jumped up and yelled, "Boo!" Popo and Brandon couldn't stop laughing. There you go. Right here. So once Brandon and Popo finally settled down and cleaned up, they got to work. Brandon started spooning the meat mixture from the big bowl into the wraps. Then he pinched the edges together to keep all the delicious filling inside. He loved making jiǎo zi and was getting really good at it. So Popo looked over and exclaimed, "Wow, Brandon, 你做的饺子真漂亮," saying that his dumplings were very beautiful. Brandon was very proud. Once they had a tray full of jiǎo zi prepared, Popo started to cook them while Brandon continued making more jiǎo zi. Soon all the dough and meat were used up, and the first batch of jiǎo zi was done. Brandon could not wait to eat them, and his mouth started to water. Has that ever happened to you? Where you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, it's delicious food, I'm so hungry," mouth starts to water? That happens to me all the time. So then Popo asked Brandon, "Okay, here comes some Chinese. 你要吃几个饺子?" which means, "How many dumplings do you want to eat?" And Brandon replied, 10, 10个. Wow, Popo cried, 10个? 你可不可以吃这么多? Can you eat that many? What do you think? Can Brandon eat that many? Brandon started laughing and answered, yes, I can. So Popo gave him 10 jiǎo zi, and Brandon counted them out one by one in Chinese. Maybe you guys can help me here. Let's make sure they're all here. So, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. They're all there. So Brandon thanks you for helping him confirm that there really were 10 jiǎo zi there. So then, Brandon started eating and eating and eating. What happened to Brandon's tummy? Seeing all 10 jiǎo zi in Brandon's tummy, his tummy was very big indeed. Okay, sometimes I've done that before. I don't know if you guys have done that, where you eat too much and your tummy feels so big. It's not a good feeling, so don't do it. Once you're full, stop eating. Otherwise, you'll become like this. All right, so Popo couldn't believe Brandon ate so many jiǎo zi so quickly. Wow, 你太饱了. You must be too full. Brandon giggled and said, they were so good. I couldn't stop eating. I would like one more, please. Popo couldn't believe it. 你还要一个饺子? You want one more dumpling? Brandon laughed and said, yes, please. So Popo gave Brandon one more jiǎo zi and watched, expecting him to eat it. But instead of eating the jiǎo zi, Brandon put it in a little box and said, 谢谢, which means thank you. Popo laughed and said, what are you going to do with that jiǎo zi? I thought you were going to eat it. Brandon just smiled and said, I want to save it because it's so beautiful. He's such a silly boy. I wonder what Brandon's going to do next. Let's find out. So later, when everyone was busy, Brandon snuck out his jiǎo zi, took it out of the box, and started to decorate it with strips of lettuce for the hair, sliced olives for the eyes, a piece of grape for the nose, and a little slice of red pepper for the mouth. He stuck everything on with a little oyster sauce and called everyone in to see his masterpiece. Mommy, Daddy, Popo. Actually, let me show you this. So there's Mommy, Daddy, Popo, and Gong Gong. Who's Gong Gong? Do you remember? Who's Gong Gong? Gong Gong's grandpa. That's right. Good job. So they all came in. They're all surprised and delighted by Brandon's creation. There are lots of oohs and ahs and ayos. Brandon took a picture of his little jiǎo zi guy and then ate it all up in 2 bites. Yummy, 好吃. Everyone laughed and laughed. Brandon laughed the loudest. What What a smart but silly boy. And that is the end of the story. There's a little glossary at the back, so you can check your Chinese. All the Chinese is in here. That's in the story. So I hope you like the story. Again, Brandon Makes Jiǎo Zi.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Story. And I loved how he decorated it at the end of the cover. Did he do that in real life? Am I allowed to
For the jiǎo zi, he didn't really decorate that, but he's decorated other food. Like he'll take the dough and he'll make certain little faces, or sometimes he's made a flower with it, like so a flower jiǎo zi. And then sometimes when we'll make cookies, he'll decorate things like that with faces. So that part of the story was made up.
Oh, well, it's so creative and I love it.
Thank you. It means a lot.
So what other stories do you have going on? Can you share with us?
Right now, I just finished the first draft of my next book. It's a chapter book for a little bit older kids. It's longer, less illustrations. Brandon goes to Hong Kong.
Oh.
So that's based on our trip from last summer. And there may or may not be a real or imagined dragon.
Exciting.
And I also have,
right?
I'm sorry?
We'll be able to order that one day.
Maybe. I also have another book coming out through Callista Publishing. It'll be a nonfiction book about Chinese New Year. So that will be out by the end of the year.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
It is, people think writing books, they're just so easy, but
For me, it's not.
Imagination, you have to just really be inspired and have experiences, wouldn't you say?
Yes, yes. So all of my stories are based on experiences that we've been through, and then you just kind of add a little, embellish a little, add a little fantasy to it. So
right, it's exciting. Well, I've been to Hong Kong, by the way, many moons ago, and just find it such a wonderful place and so pretty.
Yeah, I love Hong Kong.
I'll look forward to reading that book for sure. And speaking of that, before we close, how can people find your books?
Oh, the easiest place on Amazon. You just go to amazon.com/author/Eugenia Chu. I think I have, oh here, I'm not sure if this will show up. This is some of my information. This is my email if you want to get in touch with me. Website, eugeniachu.com. And then Twitter, Instagram, it's all on there, but probably everything's listed on my website at eugeniachu.com.
Okay, great. And for those listening, make sure you subscribe to the Story Garden, the newsletter at my website. And because on the newsletter for June, I will be writing up about you, and I'll have all that information for all subscribers as well. So
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. That's the least I can do. I want to thank you for your time. I know you need to get back with your family and enjoy them because time is so precious. But I hope you'll come back again one day and read a story and give us an update.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun. It's always fun catching up with you, Diann.
Talk to you soon. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Well, that's it, everyone, with Story Garden today with my very first interview with Eugenia Chu. And wasn't it an exciting day? And I can't wait to have her back. Well, in the meantime, remember, have a lovely day and always embrace imagination. Till next time, have a good day.